Hello and a warm welcome to us here at France 24. It's time for a world news update. Our top stories. Police and other security personnel are out in full force as the Olympic flame arrives in Paris. Organisers fear that a torch relay through the French capital will be disrupted like it was in London by pro-Tibetan protesters. But first in this bulletin, dramatic scenes in London on Sunday when pro-Tibetan protesters tried to extinguish the Olympic flame. The organisers of a similar torch relay through Paris this Monday are hoping the same won't happen to them. 3,000 security personnel are being deployed along the route of the Olympic flame. It starts at the Eiffel Tower, proceeds along the banks of the River Seine, onto the Champs-Élysées and to City Hall, where a giant banner in defence of human rights is being displayed especially for today.
Paris, the seventh stage in the Olympic torch's international journey, a route which has so far been littered with obstacles. Pro-Tibetan protesters disrupted the flame lighting ceremony in Olympia in Greece, and yesterday in London the torch came close to being put out. First of all, an activist managed to grab the flame before security wrestled him to the ground. Then another demonstrator tried to snuff it out with a fire extinguisher. British police arrested 35 people. In Istanbul, 2 minority groups disrupted the set-piece flame relay, staging a high-profile demonstration against the Chinese government. Russian authorities kept the torch's journey secret to avoid embarrassment. French authorities have ramped up security for the Paris leg, and the Minister for Sport called for the spirit of the Olympics to be respected.
All those who want to express themselves can express themselves, but I don't want there to be any incident surrounding the torch, because that would be a lack of respect for the values it represents.
The Olympic torch has a long way to travel before the Beijing Games open in August. Its 137,000-kilometre-long relay could be set for further problems. After ceremonies in 21 cities, the flame heads for China, including a stop-off in Tibet, where recent protests threw the global spotlight on Beijing.
Earlier I spoke to our correspondent Henry Morton in Beijing for more reaction to the pro-Tibetan protests in London and the controversy expected here in Paris.
Still had no official reaction as yet from the Chinese government itself, although members of the organising committee here in Beijing have strongly condemned the protests in London, calling the actions to try and disrupt the relay and extinguish the flame acts of sabotage. Domestic media are also very, very strongly critical of these protests. They're trying to play down the significance of the demonstrations, saying that these were the actions of a very small number of people and the focus should instead be on the flame relay itself and what that represents. And domestically, this is very much still about a positive it and playing down any sort of international criticism as much as possible, despite these growing calls for a boycott of, at the very least, the opening ceremony.